Welcome to Life Plan Differently with Rick Dwyer from Argallus Financial Group. In this podcast, we'll help you connect your personal expectations to your financial realities. Join us for this journey where we take a holistic approach to financial planning as Rick Dwyer draws from years of experience and guest experts to teach you how to avoid costly mistakes in your financial planning.
Employee benefits are not just a perk for employees. They can also benefit employers. The host of Life Plan Differently, Rick Dwyer of Argallus Financial Group, talks with someone who knows the ins and outs of benefits, Jason Portz, National Field Director for Argallus. Jason is responsible for building a team to service clients with comprehensive financial and insurance solutions for business and individual needs. Those solutions cover, but are not limited to, group health insurance, dental and vision plans, life and long-term care insurance, and retirement services. Rick, I'm sure Jason has a lot to share.
Thank you, Patrice. So, Jason, welcome to the podcast. You and I talk all the time, so I don't think we need to spend any time getting to know each other, but I would like to spend some time on this particular podcast talking about employee benefits and how they can benefit employers as well as how they can benefit employees. Why don't we first start talking about some of the benefits that you make available through our agents to employers?
Our agents have the ability to cover and protect an employer and their employees all the way across the board on everything from major medical insurance to where we can do fully funded plans or self-funded plans, depending upon the age and the health of a group of employees. We also have the ability to do voluntary benefits to where there's no work or no out-of-pocket costs for the employer in any capacity. Policies like dental, vision, supplemental policies for cancer, heart attacks and strokes, accidents and injuries, disability insurance, critical illness insurance. We can provide group life insurance for employees as well. We're able to fulfill any employer's needs all the way across the board from A to Z for any health insurance or life insurance needs that they might have on the group side. What we try to do for the employer is take the work out of their hands. And one of the biggest headaches that any employer has is the amount of work that they have to do to service their health insurance. And what we want to be able to do at Argallus Financial is provide those services to where we can service our accounts and help them with their claims and help them with their paperwork and the tedious work that goes in an HR department. We want to be able to do that the best we can to keep as much work off of their plate as possible.
Well, that sounds like it would be really beneficial to an employer. A couple questions. The first one will be, when I'm on TV, I see that wacky duck all the time. Is that comparable to some of the things that you're currently doing? Or if so, what are some of the differences?
Yeah, absolutely. Our supplemental policies are one of our most popular offerings among employers. It's a strictly voluntary benefit that we provide through Globe Life Family Heritage. It's a 100% return of premium policy that is going to protect employees for catastrophic accidents and catastrophic illnesses. Like I mentioned earlier, we cover and protect employees for cancer, heart attacks and strokes, critical illness, hospital indemnity, intensive care services, and it's a cash benefit payout. If you've got somebody that's maybe in the construction field or the trucking business or any type of trade, our accident policy is a great benefit. Somebody goes out, they break a bone, they have a laceration, they have an on-site accident, then that employee is going to get cash paid directly to them, comparable to a payroll replacement plan. It's not a payroll replacement plan exactly, but it's still comparable to that in the sense that it pays cash directly to the employees, tax-free for a reimbursement for hospitalization, ER room visits, and those types of things. These plans are extremely valuable. They're very cheap. We can typically cover an employee for less than $1 a day. So, an employee can be covered for somewhere between $25 and $40 a month. And that may pay them between 5, 10, 15, 20, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending upon the severity of the illness or the catastrophic accident that maybe they had.
That sounds amazing and sounds really reasonable. Mike, I guess my question, staying with the duck for just a second, is, are there any major differences? I mean, why would someone choose to work with us through Argallus versus the duck?
Yeah, no question. Our policies, what really separates us apart from any of our peers in the industry is that, as I mentioned earlier, our policies are 100% return of premium. So if somebody decides to invest in one of our supplemental policies for cancer, heart, accident, something like that, and they never use that policy, they're going to get all of their money back through our return of premium benefit. So what that means is that if you never use the policy over the course of the 25-year term, every penny that you put into that policy is going to come back to you after 25 years. And then your policy is going to stay in effect then after 25 years at the same premium. Our rates never increase due to age or due to illness. You're locked in at your premium. The day that you sign up, it never is going to increase. You're guaranteed to get all of your money back minus any claims that were made over those 25 years. It's just a great policy that somebody can really have the umbrella of the insurance in place to protect them if they have a catastrophic accident or illness, but also know that their money is going to be there for them if they wanted to use it as a final expense chunk of cash after 25 years or 35 or 40. It's just a great asset to where they know that they're going to have money in place that's not going to lose money at any point, but it's also going to give them the great protection of the insurance.
So, Jason, what about the coverage? I know on certain coverages that they either limit what you can get access to right away, or there's limits on how much you can actually get from a particular illness or other event. So how does that work with our products through Globe Life?
Yeah, our Globe Life products have very limited lifetime limitations on benefits. Our hospitalization, radiation payments, things like that, they have no limitations at all. And how I like to explain this is, if you take our cancer policy, for instance, one thing about cancer is if you get it once, you're probably going to get it a second, third, maybe a fourth time. It's going to come back. So if a client was diagnosed at the age of 25, they were paid a nice sum of money, $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 for that cancer case that they beat. A lot of times what insurance carriers will do is they'll drop that policyholder. They won't continue to cover them, or if they do, their premiums will shoot through the roof because of their pre-existing condition. At Globe Life, what we do is that policyholder will be covered for life at the same premiums, but then they'll be covered for the same potential benefits if cancer comes back 5 years later, 10 years later, or 40 years later. There's no limitations on benefits. I use an example with my grandfather. My grandfather spent 100 days in the hospital. He would have been paid $800 a day for every day that he was confined to the hospital on our cancer plan. A lot of policies that you see, they're lump sum policies to where they're only going to pay you a lump sum of $20,000, or in some cases are only going to cover X number of days of confinement in the hospital. With our policies, there's no limitations on benefits. There's a few benefits that have some limitations, like physical therapy and the initial occurrence benefit, but on 95% of our benefits, there's no limitations. If you have 1 day in the hospital or 1,000 days in the hospital, you're going to get paid that benefit. So that's a great luxury. And another great luxury that we have is our accident policy, cancer policy, any policy that we have. It protects you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whether you're on the job or whether you're out of the job. It covers your life skills. It covers if you're hunting or fishing or any of your hobbies that you're entertaining. If you're retired or if you're still employed with your employer, it's going to cover you for the heart attack, the cancer, the critical illness. It's 24/7. It doesn't tie into your employer at any point. The great thing about our policies also, another benefit is that they're 100% portable. So if you change jobs over the course of 5, 10, 15, 20 years, that policy is going to go with you all the time, and the return of premium is going to stay with you, even if your employer is paying for that policy. So the portability is great, something that's always going to be with you. It's going to provide you a level line of protection for your entire life, just not for one occurrence that you're paid for.
So on the portability that you just mentioned, that sounds like it could be a major benefit for the employees. So speaking about employees for a second, a lot of employers want to entice their employees to stay and give them some kind of benefit. How are these benefits being perceived by the employers that our team members are working with?
Yeah, what we see out of our employers is this is a way for them to provide them just a little bit of a nugget as a thank you for working at a specific company or corporation or landscape company or whatever it is that they have. A lot of business owners, they don't have the money or they don't have the resources at this point to provide full major medical. That can become expensive, but they want to provide them something that can really pertain to their job and help keep their workman comp fees down. So what they're able to show is that, hey, we're offering this accident policy to our employees as a form of a benefit. It's not full health insurance. It's not health insurance, but it is something, and that is viewed by our employees very, very well whenever we go into enrollments. They're happy to have any benefits that are provided to them. So anytime that we meet with employers, we just want to make sure that they understand that when we come in, we're just going to provide voluntary benefits to their employees that they can pay for ACH through their checking account. It doesn't even have to run through payroll or through the HR department. We want to take all of the work off the business owner and help provide a product that their employees are going to be happy that they were offered and had the opportunity to purchase. And it's going to lead to a lot more retention of employees over time. That's really our goal at the end of the day, is to provide quality benefits for a great price that are going to pay consistently and quickly to their employees.
One of the questions that I think will come up is, if you're interested in one of these policies, are there pre-existing condition constraints, or how does that work? For example, let's say you had breast cancer and maybe you even had stage 0, where it's so small you can't basically see it, but it's still something that's serious and it does count as breast cancer, and that could go for pretty much any type of cancer. So if you already had where you were diagnosed with cancer as an example, how would that affect or impact your ability to get the cancer policy?
Yeah, another great feature of our policies with Globe Life is that our underwriting is super simple. Whenever we sit down with employees, we're going to be able to cover them and get them protected that day. And as long as their policy is in effect, we have their account information that it's going to come out from. There's 5 simple health questions that they have to answer. If they've never had cancer, if they've never had a heart attack or a stroke, if they've never been diagnosed with HIV or AIDS, if they've never had an elevated PSA, if they've never had a biopsy for cancer at any point, then they're going to qualify for our heart attack and stroke, our ICU, and our cancer policies. For our accident policies, all of those apply, but also if they haven't had a accident within the last 12 months, then they're going to immediately qualify for our policies. The pre-existing conditions that you referred to is we have a 10-year wait period on pre-existing conditions. So the scenario that you referred to is if a woman, let's say, had a small bout with breast cancer, and she's 10 years scan-free, her scans have been completely clean, there's no sign of cancer in her system, then she's 100% coverable on our Globe Life policies. And that's a great feature, is that if you've beat cancer, if you got cancer at a young age and then it's been out of your system for 10 years, there's a possibility that's still going to come back. That gene runs strong in your family. You can still get covered on our cancer policy. On our accident policies, there's a 12-month wait period. If somebody blew out a shoulder or blew out a knee, they had reconstructive surgery, 12 months after that surgery, then they're coverable. And they're coverable for that occurrence or for that joint or whatever the injury was that they had. That's a great thing. The underwriting is super simple. We're able to get people signed up immediately. And then it's not a three strikes you're out as well on our cancer policies. If you've had cancer, you've went through your 10 years of clean scans, and you're going to be able to be covered. It's a great feature for people that know that cancer runs thick in their family, and they want to get some sort of coverage after beating it once and making sure that they have some protection moving forward.
Sounds like that with cancer, which we know can be very expensive, and you couple that with some of the other benefits, it could be a very powerful tool for the employee to have to take off some of that financial risk. To get comprehensive coverage, is there kind of a ballpark number that people would have, or how does that work?
All of our policies are based on age as well as the type of coverage that you want. So if you wanted individual coverage for yourself, or if you wanted family coverage for you, your wife, and any unlimited number of kids, that's what our pricing is based upon. Obviously, the younger that you are, the less expensive our prices are going to be. But at the same time, what we have, and which is really separates us from a lot of our peers, is that we have 4 different levels of pricing. We have a base, a standard, a preferred, and an elite policy. We're going to be able to fit into anybody's budget. And that's one thing that we sit down with clients. And if clients tell us they have a budget of $15, $20 a month, we're typically going to be able to put one policy in place that's going to fit within that budget. Some people come in and they have an unlimited budget where they want to cover their entire family, and it's going to run closer to $100 a month. Then and they want the very best benefits, and we're going to be able to provide that for them. We can provide all the way from the very base price of an individual for anywhere from $12 a month, all the way up to a family of 5 or 6 kids and a husband and wife that may, run $100. So the prices vary based on all of those different situations that they may face. But at the end of the day, we're going to be able to put a policy in place that's going to give them some coverage that's going to fit in any budget, no matter where they fall at on that chart.
Well, it seems like there's a lot of different moving parts, so they would be well advised to sit down with one of our agents and go through what their options are. I think that would make the most sense. What do you find is the easiest route to take, to meet at a company and first talk to the business owner, see if this is something they want to provide to their employees, and if not, see if we can have a meeting with the individual employees at the firm? How does an employer go about doing this?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's one thing that we try to train agents on from the get-go, is to have an understanding that we can fit any need that an employer has. If an employer wants to provide $5 a month, $10 a month for each employee, and then the employee is going to pay everything else out of pocket, whether it's through their checking account or if it's going to come directly out of their pay stubs, we can fit any need that they have. That's one thing that Globe Life has, is we have the flexibility to do listserv billing. We have the ability to do ACH deductions from the employee's checking account. We have the ability to do a third-party payment where it comes directly out of the employer's checking account, and then the employer can do the accounting at a later date by pay stub if they want to do a reimbursement. What we do and what we always suggest is that we just sit down with the business owner and we let them tell us what they need. We're not here to tell them what's best. We'll certainly tell them what other employers have done, especially people that have the same type of business setup that they may have. But we want to hear what's going to serve the employer the best. And if that means that they're not going to pay anything at all, they don't have the money, they don't have the time, they don't have the staff in order to do these types of things, then what we would suggest is just give us an opportunity to bring your employees lunch someday, or maybe breakfast, or at the end of a shift, feed them dinner. And then we'd sit down in a group and we'd give a group presentation. We'd have packets available for each one of them to see. And then we'd meet with each individual employee at a time that fits their needs, at a time that fits the business needs. Or we could just do it a full enrollment that day as well. So we're able to do a number of different things. It's all going to be based on what the employer wants done, not what we want done. And there's nothing that can't be accomplished when it comes to working with employers. We're as flexible as we can possibly be. And what we're trying to do at the end of the day is we're trying to provide a top-notch benefit that's going to help the employers retain their employees. We're trying to take work off of the employers and their HR department, and we're trying to save the employer as much money as possible and give them an opportunity to have a tax break that supplemental health insurance brings employers. They elect to provide some of the premiums for their employees. At the end of the day, we're here to provide any needs that they have for themselves, their business, or the employees.
Great. So, Jason, we've covered a number of different points today on employee benefits. I'd just like to ask you, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you think is important? And if so, what would that be?
No, I think you've really hit on it. I think it's something that employers don't take nearly the advantage of. What we want our employers to understand is that we want to take the work away from you. Just let our agents come in, let our agents do all of the work. Your employees are going to benefit from this. This is going to put cash in their pocket whenever something tragic happens. And at the end of the day, we want employees and employers to have peace of mind that they've got the support of Argallus Financial Group and our top-notch carriers like Globe Life, Family Heritage to protect them on the supplemental health insurance side for catastrophic accidents and catastrophic injuries. And one thing that we are able to provide as well through the Argallus office is that we can provide dental plans and vision plans as well as disability and group life insurance that can all be handled on a voluntary basis as well. When you hear an Argallus agent come in and want to set up a meeting with you or with the employer, just know that we're not coming in there to where we're expecting a commitment out of the employer. All of these policies can be 100% voluntary. Just give your employees a chance to protect themselves. And that's one thing that we hear from employees more often than we'd like to hear is that, you know what, I've just never been offered anything by the employer. Well, the employer may not have the funds or the resources to be able to do that, but every employer should have the opportunity, the time to give the opportunity to the employee to cover themselves if they have the resources to do that.
All right. So one last question I just thought of, Jason, and that is, there may be employers who either have no interest in entertaining this for whatever the reason may be, but yet their employees may have an interest. So what about individuals or employees that either don't have a employer that's willing to have people come in and present to them? What if someone just wants to get this for themselves? Is that something they can do?
Yeah, that's a great point, Rick, and that's something that we neglected to talk about today. A lot of companies, they can only sign up groups. They only work with groups, and if they don't have the backing of the employer, then they can't do their policies. One thing that we can do is we can sign people up on an individual basis. We can sign people up at work. We can sign people up in their homes. We don't have to have any blessing from an employer. So if an individual just wants to come in and meet with one of our agents, either in the office or we can meet at their house with an agent, then we can cover them on all of these policies individual as well. A cafeteria plan is not needed in order to sign up any business or any employee. So we could go in and we could simply put a flyer in your office, and then the employees could reach out to one of our agents and we could sign them up individually as well. There's no difference in price. There's not group pricing at any point. There's no benefit to being with the employer other than maybe having the possibility of taking it out of your check every couple weeks or every week, whatever your employer provides. So we can sign up individuals, we can sign up groups, we can do anything at any level. There's nothing that Globe Life Family Heritage can't do from an enrollment perspective.
Well, that sounds great. So it sounds like if you're an employer and you would like to entertain providing either benefits on behalf of your employees or supplementing them or just even making it available to them, it would be a great way to bring some benefits that a lot of people actually need and don't have available to them. And if you're an employee or someone who would like benefits and for whatever reason, your employee or employer rather is not providing that kind of service, this is still something that you could take advantage of and protect yourself and your family by working with one of the agents through Argallus Financial. So, Jason, last time at bat, anything else you want to add? And then we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. No,
just want to thank you for having me on here today. And we've got agents that are located in St. Louis, at Lake of the Ozarks in mid-Missouri, as well as in the Jacksonville, Florida region that'll be willing to come in and meet at any point. We'd love to have any employee or employer into our offices, or at some point we could make our time to come in and visit with them. So we are certainly available, and would love to hear from any employers that are available to meet with us.
Well, thanks, Jason. So we're going to wrap it up, folks. If you have any interest at all in getting information on employer-supplied benefits, if you're an employer or you're an individual or an employee that would like these benefits for yourselves, feel free to reach out and give us a call. Our number is 904-800-7299. Once again, 904-800-7299. Jason, thank you for attending. And Patrice, back to you.
A broad overview of what is available and beneficial for both employees and employers. That's Rick Dwyer of Argallus Financial Group with Jason Portz, National Field Director of Argallus. To make sure you know when the next episode of Rick's podcast, Life Planned Differently, is available, subscribe. And make sure to share with colleagues and friends.
Thank you for listening to the Life Planned Differently podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Argallus Financial Group, Inc. or Capital Management Services, Inc. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service providers with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.